Way back in 1998, a year before The Matrix blew everyone's minds, another movie came along and asked a pretty similar question about what's real. I'm talking about The Truman Show. But its take was different. It wasn't about technology or code. It was about something way more personal, way more insidious, a reality built entirely on psychological manipulation. So today, we're going to break down how this film isn't just a movie. It's a powerful and maybe even prophetic look at our own lives. All right, let's get into it. I mean, really think about it for a second. What if everything around you isn't what it seems? What if the people you trust the most, the emotions that feel so real, even the fears that keep you stuck, what if it's all just part of some giant, elaborate script? That's the unsettling question at the heart of this movie, and that's exactly where we're going to start. All right, Section 1, A World Built on Lies. Now, to really get Truman's world, you have to understand that his prison wasn't just, a massive TV set. No, it was way more sophisticated than that. It was a psychological cage, carefully, meticulously built around him from the very moment he was born. And that brings us to this key idea, psychological virtuality. Look, the real horror of the film isn't the giant dome he lives in. It's the fact that his entire inner world, his feelings, his relationships, is completely artificial. The love he gets from his wife, the bro hugs from his best friend, all of it, totally manufactured, just a tool to keep him in line. And the ways they did it were, well, they were downright insidious. These were the invisible bars of his cage. They literally manufactured his deepest fear, a terror of water, by faking his dad's death at sea. Can you imagine? Then, they hammer it home with constant propaganda on the radio and TV, always warning him about the dangers of travel. And anytime he gets a little curious, his wife and best friend are right there with some scripted, repetitive conversation to shut it down. And this quote from Marlon, his supposed best friend, just perfectly sums up the sheer depth of the deception. Nothing is fake, it's merely a controlled environment. I mean, wow. The actors aren't just lying to Truman. You realize they're lying to themselves. They've performed these mental gymnastics to justify it all, telling themselves they're part of this noble project, bringing hope to the world, all while cashing a fat paycheck for betraying a man's entire existence. But here's the thing about cages, even perfect-looking ones, they always have cracks. In reality, it always finds a way to seep through. So let's talk about those moments when the simulation started to glitch, when the seams started to show. At first, it was just these small, impossible things, like a massive studio light just falls out of the sky. Then his car radio suddenly picks up the crew's frequency, and he hears them tracking his every single move. Creepy, right? But the real turning point? His dead father suddenly shows up on the street, only to be whisked away by actors. All these glitches just start piling up, and you can see him go from just passively accepting his life to actively, desperately investigating what is going on. And, of course, what happens when someone tries to blow the whistle? The system protects itself. There was this one actress, Lauren, who actually tried to tell Truman the truth. And what happened? Poof! She was immediately dragged away, and everyone just dismissed her as crazy. She was the only real, authentic connection he had, and for that crime, she had to be silenced. It's a classic move, right? If you can't debate the message, you just discredit the messenger. Okay, so this is the part where the film really stops being just a story about some guy named Truman, and it starts being a story about us, about you. And to really get that connection, we need to talk about this huge philosophical idea that honestly, quietly runs our entire world. The concept is called intersubjectivity. It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Think about money. A dollar bill is just a piece of paper, right? It has zero value on its own. But because we all agree that it has value, it suddenly does. It works. The same is true for laws, for countries, even for big corporations. They only exist because we all collectively believe in them. Our entire civilization is basically built on a web of these shared stories, these shared fictions that we all agree to treat as real. And this is where the parallels to our own world get kinda undeniable, even a little scary. The mechanics are the same, they've just been updated. In Truman's world, his wife does these super awkward product placements. In our world, we've got influencers performing their entire lives for likes. The propaganda posters that warned him against travel, well, now we have social media algorithms that trap us in filter bubbles. It's the exact same principle, a perfectly curated reality designed to shape how we think and what we do. Let's be real, social media is basically our version of the Truman Show. It's a nonstop broadcast of curated lives. You see the displays of fake wealth, the performance of perfect relationships, and this endless stream of success with all the failure and struggle conveniently edited out. And what does that do? It creates this completely distorted, unrealistic expectation of what life is supposed to be, which can be incredibly damaging, especially for younger people who are still figuring out the world. So, if we're all kind of living in our own Truman Show, how do we get out? Is there a door? Well, the film's climax basically gives us the blueprint, and it all boils down to a single, powerful choice. The choice between a comfortable lie and a difficult, maybe even terrifying truth. See, for Truman to escape, it wasn't enough to just find a physical door. No, he had to win a war inside his own head first. Remember that deep, paralyzing fear of water the system programmed into him? He had to conquer that. So when he gets in that boat and sails into a storm, it's not just a journey. It is a massive victory over his own manufactured limits. It proved that his desire for truth was finally stronger than his fear of death. And then you get that amazing scene where the director creates this insane, life-threatening storm to try and scare him back to shore. And what does Truman do? He screams at the sky, "Is that all you've got?" I mean, chills. That's the moment. That's his ultimate act of defiance. He's saying, "I would rather die out here in the truth than live one more second in your lie." And in that moment, he is finally completely free. So he makes it to the very edge of his world, literally crashing into the wall of the set. And that's when the director, his creator, speaks to him from the heavens and offers him one last deal. It's the ultimate choice. Option A, stay here in Sea Haven. It's safe, it's comfortable, it's predictable. Or option B, walk through that door into the real world, a world of danger, uncertainty, pain. The director even tries to sell him on the lie, saying the world out there is just as fake, but way more dangerous. It's the ultimate temptation, right? The golden cage. And Truman's response? It's just perfect. He takes that cheesy catchphrase they programmed him with, the one he said 1,000,000 times without thinking. "In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night." And he reclaims it. He turns it into his final epic farewell. He takes a bow and just walks out the door into complete uncertainty. And that right there is the whole point. That's the fundamental difference. In a world jam-packed with actors, all just passively reading their lines, Truman was the only one who was actually real. He chose to be active, while everyone else was passive. He questioned when everyone else accepted. He searched when everyone else stayed put. He took control while everyone else just played their part. So this brings the whole question right back to us, doesn't it? Our society, our culture, those social media feeds, they all hand us a script to follow. You know the one. Go to school, get a job, get married, buy a house, retire. And most people, well, they just live it out without ever really questioning it. So the final thought I'm going to leave you with is this. Are you a passive actor in your own life? Are you happy just playing the part you've been given? Or are you Truman? Are you willing to get in that boat and sail straight into the storm to find out what's really on the other side?